The Farhud was June 1st and June 2nd of 1941. It was an Arab Nazi attempt to exterminate the Jews of Baghdad and actually all of Iraq. When I say it was done by Arab Nazis, I don't mean that they were Arab fascists. I mean, they were actually Arabs who idolized Adolf Hitler, who had adopted National Socialism, Nazism, many of whom had actually marched in the torchlight parades of Nuremberg. They marched the homes with a chamsa. Babies were cut in half and thrown into the Tigris River. Parents were murdered in front of their children. Daughters were raped in front of their parents. It was a rampage of 2 days.
Everybody has heard of Kristallnacht, but the Farhud has slipped into obscurity. Why?
Because the victims were Sephardic, and most of the Holocaust historians and most of the Holocaust museums from Washington to California have defined the Holocaust as Hitler's attempt to destroy European Jewry. So the fact that these Jews were somewhat south of Europe and somewhat east of Europe, including those in Tunisia who were 32 concentration camps, this was totally ignored.
Would it be right, therefore, to understand the Farhud as part of the Holocaust and all of Iraqi Jewry, therefore, as Holocaust survivors?
It was the Kristallnacht of the Sephardic community. It was one of many, many, many pogroms in the Arab world, but it was done with the Nazis, for the Nazis, and it is certainly part of Hitler's effort to destroy the Jews. What we have done is we have finally understood what Hitler always meant. He had a war not against the European Jews, but all the Jews in the world.
What explains the world's silence on the question of Jewish refugees from Arab lands compared to the excessive attention given to Arab refugees?
The reason that there's two classes of refugee is because two classes were set up. The 850,000 Jews were ignored by the world. They were unter-refugees, sub-refugees, even though they're covered by the same law. Meanwhile, the Palestinians were created as uber refugees. It was not under international law as soon as you are absorbed. It's a birthright. It shows the lie that Israel was a congregation of Ukrainians and Polish and Brooklyners, and shows that this expulsion changed Israel from a haven for European Jewry to a true Mideast country.
This year marks the 75th anniversary of the Farhud. How is it being commemorated around the globe?
It was my decision to launch a whirlwind series of commemorations. I started in the House of Representatives. We lit 27 candles for each century of Iraqi Jewish existence that was snuffed out. We actually snuffed them out. We blew 8.5 Tukiyot, shofar blasts, to commemorate the 850,000 Jews who were expelled. I went to New York, we repeated that. I flew to London, we repeated that with Ambassador Mark Regev. We had the culmination, the final of 4 commemorations. That was in the Knesset under Ksenia Svetlova, who rose to the occasion with partners Stand With Us, and we made it happen.
Many people argue that the question of Jewish refugees from Arab lands should be raised in peace negotiations with the Palestinians or in a regional settlement with the Arab world. Is that reasonable?
It doesn't matter. The property was seized. The people were victimized. There will be no justice without recognition, and no recognition unless we tell the story and people hear us loud and clear. Normally in the Knesset, where people are screaming out for their story, we're